Mando's starter pack is perfect for new customers. As a special offer for listeners, new customers get $5 off a starter pack by using code K100 at shopmando.com. That's SHOPMANDO.com. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando.
So before we get to the TV reviews, let me tell you last week's top 5 shows, okay? Mm-hmm. Survivor, NCAA men's basketball, Xavier versus Texas, ACC tournament, Louisville Duke, NCAA again, San Diego State versus North Carolina. Dave, bro, they tarred and feathered us.
Yeah.
Number 5, another basketball game, NCAA. Number 9 was Friday Night SmackDown. Number 75 was Dynamite, and number 97 was NXT. Bro, is
that on total viewership or the bro? Because you every week
they just give the rating. Dynamite had 0.19 and NXT had 0.15.
Yeah, because like it's on certain nights when Dynamite, when they say Dynamite finished like number 2,
right?
That's just in the demo.
Right.
And there's always they're always 8th or 9th in total viewership usually, because a lot of, I think every Fox News show outdraws Dynamite.
Right.
Okay, but I don't think any of the other ones do. But every Fox News show does. Fox News, and usually, and sometimes though the thing is, Dynamite will usually outdraw hockey. Like the hockey numbers are very, very rarely beat Dynamite, but they're like an inconsequential game. They're just like regular season games, But come playoffs, those numbers will change. Like the hockey numbers will be higher, but even when they do like 680, hockey's like 570 or 600. Like a good game with popular teams would be like 700, 800.
Right.
So it's like the hockey's not really competition at all. And the Wednesday shows, these Wednesday basketball games were not competition. I mean, that's because
they weren't. But it's March Madness.
Right.
They're March Madness. You got a blue blood, North Carolina. A lot of people are betting. So
right. But the number wasn't really that high for like a North Carolina relevant basketball game. I think it was like
to be the 4th highest rated show of the week. I think that's pretty good. So WWE high performing YouTube highlights. I'm just going to give you 2. 1, listen to this number. John Cena trashes the WWE universe until Cody Rhodes fires back. 4.2 million.
Right.
The second one.
On what platform?
YouTube.
Oh, YouTube. Okay, so all right. So let's mention that. So let's do this, Joe. Joe, go look on WWE's X account and see how many views it had on that. Because and then look on Instagram and see what the view. Because let's go over basically the 4. Like how, when you analyze viewership in every week, all right, you should really actually talk about the 4 platforms.
Right.
The platform that it's on, okay, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Okay, 5 platforms. It's the TV and the 4 others. All right, and so basically, like if you just that's your viewership. Like that's what people are like. They're viewing the product. They're viewing the clips. Like that's how many views it's getting, bro. Those numbers are astronomical.
How many people do you think watch the show but don't engage with them on social media or follow them? What percentage would you say?
What do you mean? But just watch the show and they're not.
They watch the show, but they're not following them on Twitter. They're not checking
commenting.
Right.
Okay. God, I don't know, because I do, so, which means I don't really. I don't know who. I don't know the fan. I don't know how I would interact with a fan that doesn't. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I'll tell you what. There's a guy at work that watches the show, but he never's on Twitter or any comments.
Right. Yeah, there's people like that. Joe, what do you think?
I have friends that'll watch and then they'll go on X to just see what people are saying about an angle or a match, and they'll just read it, but they don't interact or comment. So it's probably pretty common.
Right? Because I made
but if you had to throw a percentage, what would you say?
What percentage? Bonnie says comment.
Because Dave
40,
is on
45, maybe 50.
Really?
Right. Yeah. Okay. So Dave is on this rant. He's desperately trying to figure out how many people are watching Dynamite on X. All right. Or on HBO Max.
On Max.
All right.
And nobody's been able to find out.
No, because they don't reveal those numbers. Okay. So he thinks it's very it's so important if we know these numbers. And he says the numbers are obviously really, really good watching on Max because their pay-per-view was up like 30% from last year. Okay, and that's the only metric he's using is like his assumed numbers on Max. Okay, So why? So he tweeted this. Is this today or yesterday? This is yesterday. Somebody said for like 2 years you were comparing NXT. Okay, here's so Dave tweets this. You don't have AEW. Somebody tweets AEW beat NXT because of imaginary max numbers in the key demo isn't a fact, whether or not you want it to be true. Dave comments, you don't have to put it in an imaginary number. First, you're not in competition. Network charts are different from cable charts. Even so, AEW did a 0.19 and NXT did a 0.15 this week, even though AEW's numbers is diluted by max viewers. And NXT airs in more homes, hence has more of a chance to draw viewers, but they're not in competition to begin with. Now, all of a sudden, they're not in competition. Okay. Then somebody said for like 2 years, you were comparing NXT and AEW numbers on Wednesday nights. Now, suddenly, they're not in competition. Ratings haven't mattered in at least a decade. This is a fan. Okay.
Right.
So then Dave says ratings matter far. This is where Dave is just completely out of touch on this subject, right? Ratings matter far more now than ever before. It used to be the key financial drivers were pay-per-view attendance and merch. Today, they are media rights revenues, and that is based on how many people 18 to 49 watch the shows. Okay, so he thinks that, like, because of that, all right, that the ratings matter a lot. I will contend that the driving force of getting the rights deal is increased numbers, you would think, all right, but the math doesn't really add up from a basic standpoint of how many viewers they're drawing and how many views WWE is drawing on a weekly basis. Because, like, WWE is doing like 1.5 to 1.8 on Raw and SmackDown since they're not on Fox anymore, and Netflix. And AEW is doing like 650. So they're doing like a little over twice as much. But their rights deal is 4 times as much. Okay, like it's not like a direct correlation of like the math is like the thing with the rights deal is the networks are paying you TV rights money because they are speculating that they can sell. Okay, they can get advertisers to pay them to put their ads on their site for more money than they're paying you. Okay, so it's all it has to do is like how much the advertisers, they have prognosticated that the advertisers will spend. This is the money we can give you. Okay, and so right off the bat, for the first 5 years, the number was criminally low that they gave AEW for $40 million when WWE was getting 6-7 times that amount, right? So everybody's like saying, like, well, they're definitely draw more than like that.
Well, they were also an upstart, and WWE was already an established name.
And it's an upstart with a guy that's worth, his family's worth $11 billion. So why are you going to open up the bank and just give this guy a bunch of money? He wants to bankroll this. It's like, let's see how they do, right?
Right.
Then his mistake was doing a 5-year deal. They should have done 3. Because we could have known in 3 years how well they're doing. They could have made some more money. They could have gotten a deal a couple of years ago, right? So, but the thing with that is, much like every TV rights deal, all right, it's a contract and it's for an extended period of time. They're getting the same money every single week, regardless of what the weekly number is. Okay, so weekly television ratings do not matter. Okay, it's collective.
I think they do matter. I'll tell you why. And then I'll tell you why.
You tell me what, but I'm not finished. But I'm going to tell.
Okay.
You go ahead.
But I'll forget.
Then go ahead. Go ahead. Because I'm going to.
The reason they're important. You're right. You have to take all numbers into account, right? But the TV is important because if you have low ratings and they cancel you, that's a huge platform that you don't have anymore, or they change your time slot, or they change your day.
Absolutely, but in the big picture, if this was if the 3-year deal they have represents a football game, okay, fumbling a punt 5 minutes into the game is not a relevant metric because you still got 55, you still got a lot of time to play, right? So like, okay, so failing numbers in a 3-year cycle, okay, for a short period of time is not relevant. Rising numbers for a short period of time is not relevant. Collectively, over the course of thing, you're going to look at that chart that with what they paid you and that bar graph, and if the bar graph from the starting point trended down and you're at a lower point than when you started, when you got the deal, you're probably going to get less rights than you were given before. That's common sense. If you get more than the deal you got, then you're probably going to get, you're probably going to get more money, right? But let's say, like, for instance, your TV rights for 2 years and 10 months are on a downward trend, and then all of a sudden you decide, we gotta do great TV, and every week is Kenny Kenny Omega versus John Moxley in the main event, and underneath is Will Ospreay versus Hangman Adam Page. Like your shows are loaded for 8 weeks, and all of a sudden this last 8 weeks it trends up. Okay, now with the TV, like with the network, look at that last trend. Go, wow, they're doing this, or they look collectively over the course of time, right? So that's my point. On a weekly basis, these numbers don't matter. Okay, collectively, when the next deal is being negotiated, the trends is what matter. And this is my next point. He says it's never mattered more than anything. It's like, Dave, but all you're doing is saying, like, you're just being satisfied with the TV rights income every week, period. Everything else you do drives revenue and attendance, which is like 30% of your revenue. Go ahead.
Joe, do you know if that guy from WrestleNomics listens to the show?
I don't know, but
Okay. Well, ask him this.
Yeah.
Because I read this thing that you sent me where he said that AEW is going to be profitable next year.
Okay.
Yeah, if that's...
And that's what, bro, these guys are looking at raw, basic numbers.
Right.
They're not taking account expenses. Like, we don't know they're traveling. Bro, they're flying Will Ospreay back and forth from England. Okay, they're paying the guy like $2-3 million a year and flying him back. Like, the adds up. Okay, right. My point is like, everybody, like, who gives a if you're going to be profitable this year? You've have 5 years of losing money.
Right.
Now you've got a big rights deal. It's what you're doing is, and this is why I can't stay in this attitude. It's like they're just satisfied and they're going to rest on their laurels of like, okay, we got this new rights deal. And it's like we're seeing the TV being produced every week. It's like, you're producing just, it makes me think that, look, I am going to book this show for the sickos. I don't care because we got these rights. I'm getting great rights deal. We're probably going to make money this year. But the on-air product has to be like, you can be critical of it if the ratings aren't doing very well, and your social media imprint is not doing well, and just look at your attendance figures. Like that's because the thing is, the WWE, if you look at their metrics, the same metrics that AEW uses, bro, everything trended up for them, which is why they're selling out all their shows. It's like, I don't know how people can look at what WWE is doing with their booking and their social media, and look at the attendance, and look at what AEW is doing with their show and their social media, look at their attendance, and not think that the attendance is a key metric that judges basically how your show is doing. That's my point. Okay,
the problem is that a lot of those AEW fans, like there's WWE fans too, they're sports fan, but when you fall in love with something, you can see no wrong in it. You know what I'm saying? So to them, they're like, look at these haters. We got all this cool high flying. They want to tell stories. Like, he's managed to find 600 to 650,000, maybe 700 at most, people that really like what he's doing, and maybe those people can keep them in business.
Right, but the flawed argument I say is that the TV rights have never been more important. Sports teams, okay, which is on the same same.
But you can't compare sports teams.
No. You can, because by this philosophy, you absolutely can't. Okay, if your sports team is not performing well, your attendance figures will show. Okay, and if you just sit there and say, well, like your team is 3-10, like your football team is 3-10 on the year, and you're saying, well, that's fine. Our rights fees, we're making money.
Right.
Like, all right, like
but I don't know if that's
but it seems like they act like it.
You're assuming, okay, that's a word. They act like it, and I would agree with that. I would agree with that.
Right. So I just it's whatever. So but let's talk about.
Let me finish this real quick.
Oh, go ahead.
So All Elite, and this surprised me because I thought it would be somebody like Tony Storm or All Elite. Their most watched thing from last week was a street fight with Moxley and Copeland, 824,000. And then the second most watched was John Moxley viciously attacked Swerve Strickland on Collision. That got 409. So while Moxley is well, on YouTube, he's a draw for them. Well,
he's their top guy. He's their champion. Like who else would be the draw on that show on their YouTube channel? Like who else? It's like they haven't really elevated a lot of guys. So So let's go to SmackDown. It
I have
starts
those
off.
numbers you wanted to see about the Cena clips and on X and Instagram and whatnot.
What
And
do
the
you
thing is, with Twitter, they didn't play like the whole 26 minutes it was or whatever. They chopped it up many times. But here's each number from each clip, right? 1.3 million, 184,000, 1 million, 2.1 million, 5.3 million, 2.8 million, 1.5 million, and 1.3 million.
What is this?
This is
the John Cena clip.
every
Edited.
Cena,
Yeah.
every Cena clip, and then Cena and Cody and stuff. But yeah, so millions.
And okay, so this is interesting because like if you look at the WWE right now, you know, they're having trouble with ticket sales here in Vegas.
Are they?
Take a wild guess why.
I don't know.
What would your answer be? Just off the bro, what's the compelling what on paper? What is compelling on the show besides John Cena versus Cody Rhodes?
You're right, because I saw Raw and I left thinking, wow, this was very underwhelming. The only good thing was the beginning and the ending. That's it.
The thing with the top guys is the
Yeah.
Cena, the Cody, it's Orton, just all their A-list stuff is decent, and the rest of it is just completely underwhelming. Like you're not interested in anything underneath.
Yo, what's up? I just want to thank you guys for watching this clip. Don't forget to hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. And join our YouTube membership for hours and hours of exclusive, unedited, uncensored content. And being a member will help you get involved in our upcoming live streams. Thank you for your support. Thank you for riding with us. I know you got a lot of other podcast choices, be it wrestling or other ones. And thank you for picking us. Boom.